Welcome everyone to the latest installment of the Dr. Abs Healthcast. I am really excited about today's guest. He's an absolute wealth of knowledge. Dr. Richard Silva is a board-certified family physician with a broad range of knowledge and expertise in his field. Dr. Silva received his medical degree from New York College of Osteopathic Medicine in 1996 and completed his residency at Nova Southeastern University at Broward General and Palmetto General Hospital in Florida in 1999. Dr. Silva was employed by the Veterans Administration and has also worked in several urgent care and outpatient settings, treating many diseases. In addition, Dr. Silva is also experienced in functional medicine, gynecology, and female health, having trained medical students at Nova Southeastern University Medical School. Dr. Silva has undergone extensive training in traumatic brain injury, depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Dr. Silva has also had the extensive experience of treating patients with metabolic and cardiovascular disorders. Dr. Silva is passionate about preventative health and practices functional medicine using various nutritional supplements and nutraceuticals, in addition to nutritional counseling, hormone optimization, specialized blood tests, gut detox, and stress programs. So without further ado, Dr. Silva.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you so much for
welcome.
Coming on to
Thank
the
you
show.
for having me here and talking about this great subject that we have today.
Absolutely. So obviously, I just read your bio, very extensive career, and in particular, I want to harp on functional medicine.
Excellent.
So, just for the listeners out there who don't exactly know what functional medicine is, can you just give a simple definition and just discuss the principles of functional medicine?
Sure. Well, as you said, I'm a DO, and DOs, we're osteopathic. We function, we study functionality and physiology and how to get the body into homeostasis. So functional medicine is exactly how it sounds. You're trying to get the body back to function correctly. And
to a balance, homeostasis, yes.
And the difference between what we'll call traditional medicine is traditional medicine normally focuses on symptom relief. You have a cold, you have a pain, it treats the symptom. Functional medicine goes to the root cause of the problem and solves the root cause, so you eliminate the problem. So it's more, in my profession, it's more specific, it's more all-encompassing. And each patient, we tailor the treatment to that patient's individual needs. Not every patient gets exactly the same treatment. Where in traditional medicine, if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, you're going to pretty much get the same treatment for every patient. So our way of doing things is much more personalized. We do a lot of testing and find out what areas the patient has that need to be fixed. Whether it's allergy, whether it's diet, whether it's hormones, and then we optimize the patient's health. It takes a little longer for the patient to get back to optimum health versus traditional medicine, but we eliminate the problem. We get to the root cause. We don't use as many medications, and the patients feel much better.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I feel like the traditional medical model, it seems like it'd be stuck on what's called sick care as opposed to, like you said, actually getting down to the root of the problem. So, I think you just touched on it right there, but why do you believe that functional medicine is just that much more effective than a traditional, and why essentially you believe it's the future of medicine? Because obviously there's been so many advancements in anti-aging and things like that. So, what's your take on that as far as, comparing the two?
About 7 or 8 years ago, we changed the name of my practice to Wellness Center instead of Medical Center. And I'm 50 years old. When you start going into your 40s, you start thinking about longevity, quality of life. Same questions our patients have. Am I going to get sick? Am I going to stay healthy? Am I going to be able to keep playing soccer and lifting weights? Yeah. So I think I had the same kind of questions that my patients have. Now, traditional medicine is very good for acute problems. You hurt your leg, you break your leg, you get a pneumonia, they treat it, hopefully it goes away, and you're done. So they pretty much got that under control. What traditional medicine really falls short on is chronic diseases and inflammatory conditions. They don't look at hormone health that goes down in your 30s and 40s. Yep. They don't look at inflammation in the body. Very importantly, they don't look at gut health, which is tremendously important.
Absolutely.
And we look at all these factors. We see where the patients are weak, and we feel we are super superior to traditional medicine. Cleveland Clinic, by the way, where Mark Hyman, which is a famous functional medicine doctor, they're doing a head-to-head study with traditional medicine versus functional medicine. My opinion is functional medicine is going to win, and they're going to force the functional medicine to be covered under their insurance plan.
Wow.
So it's big news coming down the pipeline.
So let's discuss a little bit about the what we call the functional medicine pyramid of diet, lifestyle, and environment. So obviously those three factors have a huge impact on our health and basically can impact a number of conditions out there. What would you say like a mismatch of those, or if we're not addressing those, could that be a chronic driver of disease?
Yes. So, for example, diabetes, joint pains, arthritis, depression, anxiety, all the major hitters that we deal with on a daily basis. Those patients, they usually have a problem eating processed foods, even unknowingly, like GMO, fruits and vegetables. Probably not making the best food choices, eating too many carbohydrates, low vitamins and minerals like vitamin D or magnesium, for example, which we'll get into, which cause a myriad of diseases. Vitamin D is controlled by magnesium. Magnesium controls 660 functions in your body. Yep. Vitamin D, it's a hormone. It's not even a vitamin. And we'll get into hormones later. But I feel like if you don't optimize your diet, therefore fixing your gut health, you're getting all this inflammation in your body, and you're putting yourself at risk for Alzheimer's disease, mental disorders, aches and pains, arthritis, ripping tendons, diabetes, all kinds of problems, even ulcers and irritable bowel and things like that, skin disorders like psoriasis. So functional medicine encompasses food, exercise, hormone health, and also supplementation, which I don't believe we get full amount of supplementation from our diet.
Absolutely.
And also hormone optimization. And you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, and the patient's going to recover much faster. So, for example, if they come and see you and they're having some kind of back or muscle issues, you have the technology to fix them and fix them well. But if we optimize their health with vitamins and minerals and hormones, and they're not going to get injured again. So you're going to prevent the relapses and the re-injury and the chronic injuries. So I really feel like this is the way to go when it comes to medicine.
So you were talking a little bit about, you touched on nutritional deficiencies and things that we don't get through our diet, and then the hormone optimization. So let's talk a little bit about the functional medicine blood test.
Good.
Now, what's the difference between that and a standard blood test?
Excellent question.
What can this functional medicine blood test tell us about our health?
There's many differences that we can get into, but I'm going to highlight some of the major ones so our audience can see what's going on. So, for example, our blood tests measure your nutrients inside the cell, either a white blood cell or the mitochondria of another cell. This tells you the functional basis of that vitamin in the cell. Vitamins are cofactors. They drive the reaction A to B. In the middle is an arrow. That arrow is a cofactor or a vitamin. Okay. So, for example, if you don't have enough vitamin C, you cannot put the iron in the heme group in the red blood cell. So you cannot make red blood cells. And you need folate and vitamin B12. It's very complicated. So let's say somebody's on a processed food diet. They're not getting all the nutrients they need. They're not taking any supplements. Their body is going to shut down. They're not going to be able to produce enough red blood cells. They may get anemia. They may get weakness, fatigue, chronic pain.
Definitely go into an inflammatory state.
Inflammatory state. So our lab tests get to the root cause of the problem, which is functional medicine. They look at your blood work inside the mitochondria, inside the cell. I'll give you one quick example. Magnesium is 97.7 inside your cells in your bones. It's only 0.3% in your serum. So if you do a traditional blood test at your regular doctor's office, you're only going to know 0.3%, less than 1% of the magnesium in your body. So if that test comes back normal, which is 2.0, you really don't know what that means, because that means less than 1% of your body's normal. So the other 99%, you have no clue how it is. And usually it's deficient. And as we said, magnesium, for example, controls 660 different things. So you're going to be missing out on a lot of stuff. Sleep and blood pressure and muscle tone and bowel function.
So essentially, to simplify, you're saying that this is the most complete test that you could get to pretty much assess what's going on inside your body.
Yes.
You're going to find out what's high, you're going to find out what's low, and then you, as the functional medicine doctor, are going to be able to pretty much balance everything out.
Yes.
So that you're going to be functioning optimally again.
And we teach the patient, every patient that comes in, we go over all the blood work. So obviously, patient A is going to be different than patient B, so they don't get the same treatments. It depends what they have wrong.
So, for example, what would you give us like a story of maybe one of your patients that you've seen where, you know, their blood work is just off the charts in a negative way.
Yeah.
And, you know, you pretty much just added a couple things here and there, maybe nutritional supplements, maybe you optimize their hormones, and all of a sudden they're back to feeling their normal selves.
We have a lot of patients that are athletes like I am, weekend warriors, we call them. They want to play their sports. I like soccer. I like weightlifting. I like swimming. And, you know, they come into the office. They said, I just don't feel good. I'm tired. I have fatigue. My joints hurt. I'm only about 35.
Which is about everybody. I'm starting to feel that as well. Yeah.
And, you know, I don't have that same drive. I don't have that same energy. I have to force myself to the gym.
Yeah.
And once I get there, I'm okay. But I'm not performing on my peak. I know I'm going down. And maybe I'm a little depressed. I'm not as happy as I used to be. I get down sometimes. And I'm not sleeping good at night. I'm tossing and turning. So in this particular example, we checked that person's testosterone. The testosterone was low, but that's only a symptom because he really had adrenal fatigue. So adrenal fatigue causes something called testosterone resistance syndrome, where your testosterone doesn't really work that well in your body. And testosterone, as we know, is the major male hormone that makes you feel like a guy and feel good and you want to exercise. And even for females, it does that too. So we had to give him some vitamin D. Vitamin D is probably the lowest vitamin in everybody's body, in my opinion, after treating, you know, thousands of patients. So practically almost every single patient needs vitamin D supplementation.
And is that simply due to our, you know, sedentary lifestyles? You know, a lot of people working in cubicles, not getting enough sunlight.
We cut dairy out of our diet, which is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
The dairy sources are kind of bad lately.
Yeah.
We don't go outside because of skin cancer risk. Like in Miami, the sun's pretty strong down here. Yeah. So you don't want to go outside during peak times. And we don't get enough sunlight exposure as necessary. We stay under indoor lights. So I think, you know, all these factors, our vitamin D goes down really low. So vitamin D, as I said, controls a lot of things in your body. One of them is testosterone. Magnesium actually controls vitamin D as well. So we usually give magnesium along with vitamin D. But this patient, we gave him some testosterone supplementation. After we supplemented his vitamin D3, we use D3 and K2 because the K2 protects the D3 and makes it go to the proper place. So it doesn't float around in your arteries and all that.
Absolutely.
And also we gave him magnesium in the 3 forms that it comes in. In about a month, he was back at the gym, back in energy, feeling great, losing weight. His diet improved. So we see a real spark inside the patient. And the most exciting thing as a doctor, as you know, is when the patients get motivated and they want to, you know, work out and be healthy and drink lots of water. And we don't have to force them that much.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting you touched on the K2, how much of an importance it is for you to get your D3 with K2. I always like to compare the D3 is kind of like the gatekeeper. The floodgates open, all this calcium rushes in. But what happens is it can go everywhere into the arteries. So that K2 is going to direct it to where it needs to go, which is the bones. So that's key when you take vitamin D3. And I want to touch on something you mentioned, that testosterone, women need that as well.
Yes,
and
that's another misconception.
I feel like that's a huge misconception. And there's a lot of women out there who say, I don't want to take testosterone or at all because I'm going to get manly. I'm going to get facial hair. My voice is going to deepen. And yeah, they're going to lose all female characteristics or whatnot. Can you maybe speak on that a little bit?
Sure. Women lose their testosterone in their 30s. You know, by 35, they lost about 75% of all their testosterone. Now, remember, women have very low amounts of testosterone compared to men. So we're talking about a very small amount. Just like we have estrogen, we need estrogen as well. Men have mostly testosterone with a little bit of estrogen. Women have mostly estrogen with a little bit of testosterone. In women, a shocking thing about testosterone, it's protective against female cancers and breast cancer. So women with low testosterone are actually at a higher risk of breast cancer. And that's something that's not well known or well studied in the regular medical circles. Also, the testosterone helps their libido, their energy, their focus. So one thing that you notice in women in their 30s and 40s, they start getting like a brain fog and fatigue, and they can't wake up well out of bed. So when we supplement them, for example, women can use a cream that's made out of green beans. It's a natural cream, and we supplement it. They use it at night, and all of a sudden, they get back into their 25 mode, and they want to swim and go to the gym. And
Who wouldn't want to do that?
it helps relationships. I'm telling you, I think a big part of our divorce rate, and this is a crazy thing to say, but has to do with losing our hormones in our 40s and our 30s, and just
The loss of intimacy.
yeah, you just the same way you don't want to exercise, you don't want to be intimate or give attention to your spouse. And with the stresses of kids and work and life, we don't have the energy to fight the fatigue and these things, and the relationship suffers.
Yeah. Now, an interesting topic that you brought up, obviously the testosterone for men and women. Now, what is the difference between, obviously, a lot of people out there think, ooh, anabolic steroid.
Right.
What is the difference between what you're doing and, let's say, these huge quote unquote juicers out there doing all these, heavy doses? I imagine it's all about the dosing, correct?
Yes. So we measure laboratory values, first of all. We determine which hormones you're deficient in, whether it's estrogen, and we do this for men and women. Estrogen, testosterone, could be thyroid hormone. Vitamin D is a hormone. We'll get into the definition of a hormone later. Yeah. And, you have to optimize the hormones. So that means different levels of hormones for different people. If somebody's going to the gym and they're working hard, when you go to the gym, by the way, your testosterone goes down, not up. And then when you sleep is when your testosterone goes up. So one important factor in hormone health is to get a good amount of sleep, which we recommend to our patients. Your body heals when you sleep, not when you're active. So we use small amounts of bioidentical hormones, which are not synthetic, they're plant-based. And these hormones are given in smaller doses and only to optimize and get you to the level you were when you were about 25 years of age. Wow. So we joke around the office. We say, if we get you back to 18, then you're going to take off on your wife and, quit your job. So we joke around and say we get you to about 25 years of age. But if you think about it, in your 20s is really when you have optimal health. And we get you back to those levels. It's a different level for there's a range, so it's different for every person. Sometimes it could be for males as low as 750, 800. Sometimes it can be as high as 900. In females, the optimal dose is 75, and we try to get women up to 75, no more than 100. And that seems to do the trick. And like I said, it's protective against
breast cancer.
Cancers. Oh. What happens in women, they lose their testosterone in their 30s, and a lot of them become estrogen dominant, which causes all kinds of problems in their cycles, in their moods, and in their inflammation. So when you put a balance of the hormones, which is the way we were intended to be, you equalize all the hormones. They work together in unison, which is the way they were meant to work. And then you have better sleep, better energy. And the patients tell me, I don't tell them, they come and tell me, wow, you changed my life. I feel great. I got my life back. I'm able to raise my kids. I'm able to work extra at my job. I'm able to play basketball or soccer again. So we have, story. Every day is a new story in our office. And I feel like we're making a real difference in people's lives.
That's fascinating.
It's just the reason why you go to medical school in the first place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So obviously we touched on hormones a little bit, and we all know that they play a huge factor when it comes to mental health, our gut health, our reproductive health.
Yes.
Can you just explain to people out there, in simple terms, what is a hormone and why? You've already touched on it, but why are they so important? Like, why is it so essential that we optimize these hormones in our body?
So there's 4 different kinds of hormones. For our talk today, we're going to divide it into 2 groups. So there's fat cholesterol-based hormones, which are your sex hormones. And then there's protein-based hormones like peptides, okay? All a hormone is a chemical messenger that gets excreted by a gland. It goes through your bloodstream. in very small amounts, and it has an effect in some target tissue down the road, whether it's your testicles, whether it's your liver. The largest gland in your body, by the way, I thought it's, I always try to shock my patients with these little facts. The largest gland in your body is your liver. And it weighs about 2 kilos, 1.5 to 2 kilos, and it's 1/50th of your body weight. It's a pretty big gland,
Very important.
Very
Detoxifier.
important. So that's another one. We don't always think of our liver as a gland, though, right? We think of it more like a factory
organ,
but it's actually a gland, and it has various functions. And so hormones produce blood. They help you produce blood. They help you produce digestive enzymes. The first hormone was discovered in 1904, and it was secretin, which is secreted in your small intestine. And that's where they got the name hormone. It was called hormone secretin. It was discovered in Europe. And since then, we've discovered more than 50 hormones in our bodies. So we have lots of hormones floating around. And these hormones all have specific functions, whether it's thyroid hormone for your thyroid. Every cell in your body uses thyroid hormone. So it's something that's just not in your thyroid. Every cell in your body uses it. Cardiac function, metabolism, heat and cold tolerances in your body, how much weight you have on, how much insulation and fat you have. One interesting fact, when you move to Florida, your body holds on to about an extra gallon of water, which is about 8 pounds of water, because we're so hot here. So the body retains.
Gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah. So if you move back to New York and New Jersey, you lose 8 pounds right away. But it's just water weight. But hormones are really important. And, a lot of things that happen in the body with inflammation, poor diet, gut health, they affect your hormone production, your function. Your neurotransmitters in your brain are made 90% in your gut.
That's where the immune system essentially
Your
resides.
immune system's 90% in your gut.
Yeah.
So, if your gut health is bad, you're going to have inflammation. You're going to have rashes. You're going to have joint pain. You're going to have difficulty sleeping. You're going to have headaches. You're going to have all kinds of skin problems and moodiness,
So just to touch on that subject, the importance of gut health, obviously every patient is different, but what would you say are the essentials when it comes to maintaining a healthy gut and repairing it if they have problems with it?
Okay, hold on to your ears for this one. Here comes the heavy hitters. So the worst thing you could probably do for your gut is eat sugar. So processed sugar, I would have to say, is the number one inflammatory thing. And with sugar, I also include gluten in there, okay? Gluten is a form of, wheat that's very inflammatory because we used all this processed GMO wheat. So it increases the gluten in the wheat. The natural wheat has about 20%, and this other gluten, it's about 40%. It's really high.
Wow.
So I would say cut all gluten out of your diet, which is really not that hard to do. For example, rice and potatoes are naturally gluten-free. You can get pasta gluten-free, and just be really picky about which fruits and vegetables and how they're made and how they were grown. So you can try to eliminate pesticides and gluten and
you
sugar.
Would say all organic is the way to go. Even, it might cost you a couple more dollars, but
cut the coffee at the Starbucks and get organic foods. You know what I mean? And the other thing is, you could save $5 a day on that, and then
100%.
right, and maybe $10 a day.
Yeah.
And you could put that towards your food bill.
Now, as far as coffee, would you recommend?
Coffee's actually good for your health.
Okay.
It's what you put it. It's what you put in the coffee that makes it bad for you.
Gotcha.
So if you're putting a liter of
I just
cream,
wanted to clear that up there.
No,
Okay.
coffee's good, but it's very expensive at Starbucks. I'm just saying. So
Starbucks. Yeah,
you can cut back
small fortune in that place.
You can cut back in certain areas if not go there every day. Maybe go there once or twice a week, and then use that extra money to get your food bill. I think food should be our number one priority. Our number one medicines in our world.
Food is medicine.
Yeah. And, Hippocrates, which we take an oath to that, he said, let your medicine be your food and your food be your medicine. I think that's probably the best medical quote I ever heard in my life.
It's crazy how that still stands
So
true
the
today.
first doctor that was ever a doctor said that. And, we should be saying that today, 1,000 years ago they said it, and we should be saying that today.
Absolutely. So just to recap, eliminate sugar as much as possible. So I know you're a big proponent of the Mediterranean diet.
Yes.
Is that, do you have any tips as far as specific diets that, maybe people should adhere to?
Yes. So number one, get rid of processed foods as much as you can. It's like sugar. I love when patients come to the office and say, I eat zero sugar. I say, no, you don't. There's sugar in ketchup. There's sugar in, things. There's sugar in tomato sauce. There's things that you don't even know that have sugar in it.
Yep.
So you can't, I think it's unrealistic and really hard to eliminate all sugar. But we can start with, sodas and sweets and the easy ones first, the heavy offenders, and use, non-sugary sources of sweetness like stevia, maybe monk fruit. There's different things you can do.
And it's crazy, like just those small changes. I feel like every New Year comes around and people go on these 180 degree, diet makeovers. And, sometimes that isn't realistic because they'll rebound, they'll go back to their old ways. But if they could just incorporate small little things and develop those small habits, that'll gradually grow into essentially lifestyle changes.
35% of all your calories come in through your drinks. So if you switch to, carbonated water and regular water, yes, you can have sparkling water with some lemon, then you're going to cut out about 33 to 35% of all your calories.
A healthy,
without changing
Sprite in a sense. Yeah.
Without changing one part of your diet. So then I would get rid of, things that are heavily in pesticides and chemicals. Try to chemicalize your life. Use vinegar for cleaning, and get rid of foods that are notoriously high in chemicals. Like, for example, green peppers have a lot of pesticides. So make sure that if you're going to put green peppers in which are really good foods, make sure you go organic on those. Those are really important. Strawberries, berries, they really need to be organic. The weird thing about berries is if you buy frozen berries that are flash frozen, they actually have more vitamins to put in your smoothie than fresh berries. So it's kind of like you wouldn't think of that.
Have you heard of the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15?
Yes,
I
definitely recommend that. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Mediterranean diet. My background is Italian and Brazilian. I was born in New Jersey. I like the Mediterranean diet in that it incorporates the things that I like, which are good fats, like olive oil, avocados, and some good nuts, and it eliminates bad carbs. I'm not against carbs, by the way. Your brain only works on glucose and carbs. Your brain doesn't use any kind of fat or protein. So you need carbs. You can't be zero carb for too long. Without deteriorating in brain function, you become sluggish and tired, and your brain doesn't work.
So I want to talk about that. Obviously, one of the diet that pretty much is taken over nowadays is the keto diet, as you know, and that's really restrictive of the diet of the carbohydrates. 5% carbohydrates a day as far as a percentage, and high fat content. Obviously, it's recommended that those are high quality fats like avocado and raw nuts and things like that. What's your take on the keto diet?
Okay, so the problem with the keto diet is, number one, it's really hard to stay on it long term. It gives you problems with going to the bathroom. For example, a lot of patients get constipated, and it's a really hard diet to stay on. If you go to a semi-keto diet where you're putting in some carbs, let's say you're adding berries and things like that, which is not such a low carb diet, but maybe like a medium low carb diet, you're going to get a lot of the vitamins because remember, our foods are our best source of vitamins. So I feel like if you put good carbs in and you cut your bad carbs out, for example, sweet potato is a really good carb.
Absolutely.
There's lots of good carbs, veggies are lots of good carbs. There's a lot of low glycemic index, like apples, for example. A lot of times I'll do a green apple fast where I just eat green apples for a certain period of time. People that have problems with their blood sugar, triglycerides, intermittent fasting is an excellent way. Doesn't cost anything to not eat, by the way. You can do intermittent fasting. You could reset your insulin level. And that's one of the only ways to lose visceral fat. What people don't realize is people that have fat in their gut, it's actually in their intestines. It's not in their skin. Yeah. So you can't get liposuction and get that taken out. And that visceral fat is another organ. It's like a gland. And it secretes all these toxic chemicals that cause your gut to be inflamed, causes heart disease. So people that have diabetes, they die of heart disease and stroke because they have this huge gland in their gut. And the way to get rid of that is through intermittent fasting. So you can start with 12, 14. I do 16 to 18 hours fasting.
It's like a 16-8.
Yeah, and of course you're going to do liquids. You're going to do, and I can do a green apple fast, for example, which a lot of people wouldn't even consider that traditional fasting. But what that does is it alkalinizes your body, and it helps you reset. With all the green, it helps you reset. You can do green shakes also. Green juices, fresh juices. I don't believe in any processed juices as well. In Brazil, there's no such thing. You cannot buy orange juice at the supermarket.
Yeah, like those things in the bottles.
Yeah, those
the
are
fruit
sugar water.
smoothies
Yeah, they're
and
60 grams. It says 27, but when you look at the
3
serving
servings.
size,
Yeah.
it's actually about 60 grams of sugar.
Absolutely.
So that's basically like a glucose challenge for diabetes, what we do in pregnant
Yikes.
women. You don't want to do that every day, So, cutting juices out of bottles, cutting out sodas, you would be surprised that you can cut out 35% of your bad calories, your sugary carbs. And then, you could add eggs, you can add avocados. We add avocados to everything at home. You could add good nuts. I'm not a big fan of peanuts and cashews, but because there's
walnuts,
walnuts,
almonds,
macadamia nuts,
Brazilian nuts.
Brazil nuts, right? If you're gonna have a nut, get a good quality nut. Of
course.
And Florida, we're lucky down here. We have lots of
And obviously the raw, unsalted.
yeah, almonds. So it's really easy to have a varied diet, to be able to pick from all the different food groups and still not touch those bad carbs or the bad fats as well, because there are some fats that behave like carbs, like trans fats, for example. You want to stay away from those. Those are fats that actually behave like carbs, and they can cause insulin spikes and problems with your heart and heart disease. By the way, 50% of people that have a heart attack have normal cholesterol. And 20% of people that are in the emergency room that have a heart attack have a normal EKG. So don't go by the mainstream media. A lot of these things are silent. And just because you have a normal cholesterol doesn't mean you're healthy. We do a much deeper test. The cholesterol itself doesn't cause heart disease. It's these proteins, that lipoproteins that carry the cholesterol that actually clog the arteries. So there's a lot more testing involved to find out if you're healthy or not with your cholesterol. And vitamin D, as you'll see, we're going to say vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D. Vitamin D is one of the factors that causes your cholesterol to go up, the bad cholesterol. So a lot of people that have high LDL cholesterol, they have very low vitamin D levels. So that's one thing we can do immediately to fix that and start reversing the trend and getting you heart healthy.
As opposed to getting on some type of cholesterol, statin, yeah.
Statins lower your testosterone, your hormones, and you need 1,000 people treated to have one good outcome of a statin.
So as far as the studies,
yes, and
that's all it takes.
In elderly people, it can be very dangerous taking them. They can cause rhabdomyolysis. In Florida, we're out in the sun, we're doing sports. So, you don't really want to use high doses, and you have to really screen your patients. But we get good results. We use natural things like fish oil, for example, a good quality fish oil, and vitamin D and vitamin K, and we can get your cholesterol back to normal.
One question about fish oil. As far as obviously the DHA and EPA is the most important aspect.
Right,
of
the
fish
ratio.
oil.
The ratio.
Yeah. How many grams would you say? Because I feel like a lot of times these supplements have a lower, a lower milligram or gram.
Yeah,
how much fish oil would somebody want to get daily?
Yeah, we have 750 to 1,000 milligrams. But like you said, the key is to have the ratio correctly.
Yes.
We use a product from Metagenics that's really good. But that's something you should talk to your doctor, because even if let's say you take 2,000 milligrams of fish oil, but the ratio is inverted to omega-3 and omega-6, you can have an actual deleterious effect to your cholesterol and your triglycerides. And fish oil helps not only your cholesterol, but your triglycerides, which is more of a glucose-based problem, a sugar-based problem. But we treat triglycerides and cholesterol together. And obviously, you do sports and exercise, raise your HDL. And your HDL will clean up your LDL, and will take care. Your body is made to fix itself. Yep. Our bodies were here.
Machine. Yeah.
There were no hospitals. Cavemen didn't go to Cleveland Clinic, and they made it. So our bodies, this thing that we need doctors and hospitals to be alive and be healthy, is a misnomer. The reason we need them lately in the last 50 years is because our food supply is terrible. So we're basically getting poisoned by our food. But if you eat healthy and you get all the necessary nutrients in your body, and you are not a couch potato, you move reasonably well, then your body will fix itself. So in osteopathic medicine, there's two principles. The body is a unit, and the body heals itself. So I feel like those principles hold up really well today.
And there's a similar thought process when it comes to chiropractic. We believe in universal intelligence, where we're aligning the spine, we're optimizing the nervous system, that flow of energy back and forth from the brain and the spinal cord to all the extremities and all the organs and all the muscles, and if we can correct those misalignments, the body's going to basically take care of itself.
I agree 100% with that. That's right along the osteopathic principles. And, a lot of doctors say, well, if you take nutritional supplements or nutraceuticals, you're going to get expensive urine. My answer to that is I'd rather have rich blood and I'd rather have expensive urine than poor blood.
Oh,
I'd rather have my blood rich than
That's
poor.
actually-
And if my urine's expensive, I can live with that.
Absolutely.
A lot of these medications that we take chronically, let's pick like Tylenol or ibuprofen, really common ones. You can get Motrin or Tylenol over the counter. You don't really want to take those long term. If you take it for a headache or a sore knee, it's not going to hurt you. There's nothing wrong with acutely using those medications.
Liver and kidney issues moving
But
forward.
if you take them
long-term.
chronically, they will damage your liver, they will damage your kidney, and there will be long-term effects. So a lot of these treatments that we see patients on, they were never really meant to be long-term treatments. Another example that we've all unfortunately seen is the drug epidemic with these pain medications, right?
Opioid
So
crisis.
pain medications were made for broken legs and severe trauma. They weren't made to be taken as chronic medications. So once doctors started using, I call it synthetic heroin, for chronic conditions, patients were beginning to get addicted to these medications and the benzodiazepines and all these medications. The most common reason patients are depressed and anxious is because their hormones and their diet is screwed up. So a lot of it has to do with hormone deficiency and poor gut and diet function. So by reversing these trends, you can fix depression and anxiety. I'm not saying they don't need meds in the short term, but once you turn the circle around, it's not good to take these meds for long periods of time. We don't really know the side effects. We don't know what happens when an 85-year-old or a 90-year-old takes these medications. They're not studied in 85 and 90 years old. We know what broccoli does when you take it. It's good for you.
Yeah.
We know what kale does when you take it. We know what spinach does. We don't know what these medications do in 2-year-olds. We have 4 and 5-year-olds on ADD medication like Adderall and these phentermine type products. We have 85-year-olds on all these antipsychotic and depression. And to be honest with you,
side effects.
Yeah,
that lead
we
them
don't
to
know
get
what it's
on
gonna
more
do.
Medications, and now all of a sudden, they come in with 13 bottles to the doctor's
yeah,
office.
and Alzheimer's is increasing. Heart disease is increasing. Diabetes is 50% either pre-diabetes or diabetes type 2 in our population. So we're definitely going the wrong way, even with all these advanced medications. So about 7 or 8 years ago, I took a step back in my practice, and I said, I want to start making people well and not keeping people sick. I want to see patients to make them healthy, not because they're sick. So we changed the whole premise of my practice, and we turned it into a wellness practice. And I can tell you that we've been reversing a lot of these chronic processes and preventing people from going into diabetes and all these chronic joint dysfunctions. We also do, PRP and all these other products from your blood. But the key is all these natural treatments, your blood has to be healthy for it to work. Absolutely. So if your blood is poor and you don't have the right nutrients in your blood, it's not going to work.
Now, you mentioned, obviously, how important the diet is, they're removing the processed foods. One thing that a lot of my listeners, my fans on IG have actually questioned me on is supplements. Obviously,
Yes.
A lot of people don't believe in supplements. They just think it's potentially a big money scam. Not everybody, but, certain people have brought that to my attention. They just don't believe in supplements, that they could get it all through food, which, a majority is most likely correct. But what would you say, like, if you were to give me like a top 5 supplements, nutraceuticals that you would think every human should be on? What would you say?
That's a really, really good question. I get that question every day in my office, okay? And, certain places they've had problems where people have measured the amount of the material in the vitamin and it didn't match what was on the label. So in our office, we use medical grade supplements, and every one criteria for me to use the supplement in my office, it has to be third-party tested, which means they send it to a separate laboratory and they get a report, and we can see that report stating that if it says it has 5,000 units of vitamin D3, they test it, it has 5,000 units, okay? So that's really important. Make sure whatever you're using is third-party tested and has a purity and organic and certified. So you're not getting, because for example, fish oil, if you don't get a proper fish oil, you can get mercury toxicity.
Mercury, yep.
So there are issues with that. And that's, unfortunately, you have to get a good quality supplement. Trying to, get these $2 supplements, a lot of times you're not going to get even your $2 worth back.
So essentially, if you're going to pay, you got to pay a little extra to get the quality that you're
You got to
talking
invest in it. But let's say the list of the top 5 would be magnesium,
Absolutely.
vitamin D3 with K2. I put those together, right? I like fish oil, omega-3, right? And it has to be a good quality, not rancid fish oil. The fish oils we use, by the way, they cause no burping and no fishy smell. They taste like lemons.
Worst,
yes. So that's how you know you have a bad quality. If you're burping up rotten fish, you're at risk of, because they use rotten fish to make it instead of fresh fish, then you're into a whole bunch of problems. So make sure, again, we're going to stress here, quality, quality, quality. The amount of time you use to pick your physician and, the amount of time you use maybe to buy a car, the research that you do, put that same amount into food shopping and getting your supplements. So let's go back. Magnesium, vitamin D3 with K2, because I feel like they go together, right?
Yep.
Fish oil is number 3. Number 4 would be DIM or a hormone stabilizing type medication. And number 5 for people with joint pains and aches would be curcumin with bioperine. Because we have a lot of, athletes, and I feel like that's a much better product than taking a Aleve or,
So essentially
Motrin.
a natural anti-inflammatory.
A natural anti-inflammatory. But, all this goes together with a clean gut and treating your biome. Remember, we have 10 feet, 10 meters actually, 30 feet of intestine.
Wow.
So it's 10 meters or 30 feet of intestine. So imagine that can go around your SUV 3 times your intestine. It's kind of like a silence of the lambs type scenario. But imagine how much room we have in there to cause trouble. And your microvilli can only absorb a certain size. It has to be less than 60 nanometers. So a lot of times, with these liquid vitamins and things, make sure they're their proper size. Otherwise, your body cannot absorb it. And that's another reason why some of these fat-soluble vitamins, are important. And for example, the vitamin D, the A and the D with the K2, if you add an A also, the K2 also helps you not get toxic. So if you take 10,000 units, for example, of vitamin D3 with the K2, you won't get toxic. We have never had a patient get toxic on vitamin D3 or vitamin A because we only use it with K2. So that's another reason why you'd want to use the K2.
The K2, it could lead to
because they're fat soluble.
A lot of calcium into the blood.
Yes, if you go above, about 120 on your vitamin D level, you can run into some problems. So make sure if you use the vitamin K2, number 1, you're not wasting your vitamin because it's going to get it to where it's got to go. And number 2, you're going to make sure that you're not toxic. Now, magnesium to me is actually the new vitamin D, and that's the most important one. If you could only buy one vitamin tonight, I would go out and get a good quality magnesium because magnesium affects migraines, your blood pressure, your muscle health, cramping, gut function, stomach acid, all kinds of things. And it does 660 physiological functions in the body.
Incredible.
Amazing. And a lot of us are magnesium deficient.
And I feel like that's a big problem because I feel like a lot of medical providers out there are pitching calcium for, osteoporosis and things like that.
That's wrong.
And essentially they're needing the vitamin D3 and more magnesium is what they're needing.
In our Western diet, we get a lot of calcium in the diet. So if the person's eating a normal, amount of food every day, they're probably going to be okay with calcium. The vitamin D3, they're not going to be okay. Like I said, 85 to 90% of my patients do not have adequate level of vitamin D3, which I consider 50 and above. And 50 to 70 is ideal. And most of them have low magnesium because we only measure it in the bloodstream, and that's a false way to measure it. So you either have to do an RBC magnesium or an intracellular magnesium like we use in our SpectraCell test. But those are really critical. And, as you know, in your office, we get patients with cramps and muscle aches and muscle issues and ligament problems and headaches and stress, anxiety. Magnesium is a natural anti-stress. It's a natural sleep aid. It corrects your gut function. If you read about it, it's an amazing mineral.
I used to take a pretty good supplement, Natural Calm. It's like a fizzing.
That's the powder form.
You throw it in some water and actually really relaxes you before you go to bed. So definitely recommend magnesium for
Yes.
sure.
But, I recommend that whatever doctor you use, that they are experienced with treating patients with vitamins and minerals, and also that you check your lab work, know what your deficiencies are, and then we can know how to treat you. Because a lot of times people are throwing vitamins at you. They don't measure anything in your body, and you could be fooled. I've been doing this for a long time, and I can't look at somebody and tell what they have. I can tell you what most likely they might have, but we need to do the blood work. So
And that's where I think the stigma comes in, where it's like, oh, I don't believe in supplements. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're just getting all these supplements thrown at you. Instead, get a blood test like
Yes.
you're talking about. Know exactly what you're deficient in, and then now you can actually address those with the right supplements.
I mean, vitamin D3 affects your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your blood sugar metabolism. So people with prediabetes, they usually have very low vitamin D levels. So you can fix a lot of things very simply without side effects just by taking a good vitamin D3 K2 supplement. And these are very basic things: magnesium, fish oil. Fish oil also thins your blood, so you don't need to necessarily have an aspirin. You can take the fish oil; it'll thin your blood. Where you'll get a good amount of anti-clotting in your blood just naturally.
Yep.
So, Eskimos are famous for having very low heart attack rates because they eat a lot of fatty fish. The problem is, if you go to your store, I'm not going to mention any names, and you buy fish, it could be raised in a swimming pool, as we call it at work, where it's not actually in the ocean, in the deep oceans.
Farm raised.
It's farm raised.
Yeah.
So you're not getting the red algae and all the nutrients that they eat in the ocean. So therefore, that fish is probably not good. I'll give you an example of a low nutrition level fish. Usually is tilapia. Unless it's kind of like a manufactured type fish.
It's the cockroach of the sea, or
Yes.
some low level fish in the sea.
And another one that you have to be careful with is like salmon. Make sure it's wild caught, Atlantic salmon, deep water, cold water salmon, and ask where you buy your fish and where you eat in your restaurants. Ask them, where do you get your fish from? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If they can't answer you, I wouldn't eat there, or I wouldn't buy my fish there.
Sure, there possibly
can
could
tell
be
you-
a lot of places out there that may give you the answer you don't want to hear.
My nutritionist and I can tell you every single vitamin in our office, where we get it from and why we pick that vitamin. We use companies like Metagenics, Zymogen, Nutritional Frontiers. So we have solid companies with third-party testing, and we can stand behind. And Metagenics, they even have a legal fund that if somebody gets sick off one of the vitamins, they have like a $2 million legal fund for the physicians. So these people stand behind their products. They have good products. And we have a whole gut detox kit. Of course, we measure you before, we measure you during, and we measure you after. We can treat, yeast infections in the gut. A lot of psoriasis is gut related, inflammation, especially in kids. Now imagine you're putting kids on prednisone and cortisones and all these, really toxic medications, when really what they need is gut detox, yeast treatment. And a lot of times we can get, 90% clearance of their psoriasis just with a detox. We see a lot of patients with behavioral problems, kids. ADHD, and we do a lot of treatment with that. And a lot of it is, eliminating sugar out of the diet, dairy, doing a gut detox, a yeast cleanse. And we can restore the teachers call us and they thank us, and they want to know what medications the kids are on. I said, none. And the parents, just get rid of the juices, get rid of the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it's like for the parents out there, like monitor what your kids are eating.
Yes.
Because that's you're establishing a foundation for good health from an early age.
Yes.
So Doc, I want to actually transition a little bit. Let's talk about stress. Now, we all deal with it in one form or the other, whether it be, work stress, relationship stress, financial stress, stress from traumas, et cetera, et cetera. Why do you think that it's so important for people out there to figure out how to best manage stress, and not only for their short and long-term health, but can you just give the listeners out there the best advice when it comes to coping with that S word?
Excellent. So we live in 2020 now, very stressful, traffic, bills, paying taxes, politics are crazy, raising kids today, hard as ever. And there's a lot of stresses. So one thing my professors taught me at medical school, which I didn't really give much thought to until I got into private practice, was stress is not what actually happens to you. It's your reaction to what happens to you. So for example, you may not be able to change some things in your life. Like my patients say, well, I cannot change my job or my hours, but you can change your reaction to what happens to you. For example, I don't have to become aggravated when I'm in traffic, when somebody does something I don't like, So you can condition yourself, and there's various ways of doing that with, biofeedback and cleaning your gut and, supplements to, we're going to go into that with adrenal stress. So stress is a cause of diabetes, high blood pressure, probably one of the main causes of heart disease, premature aging, baldness, psoriasis, all kinds of things, urinary problems that women have, hormone problems that men and women have, growth deficiencies, behavioral problems in kids. So stress is a real disease. Now, the medical community doesn't treat it as a real disease until it becomes, Cushing syndrome or some other disease. Yeah. They don't consider adrenal health or stress a disease. In our office, we start right away on that. We pick up on it. Now, there's some really good supplements that you can use, like ashwagandha and rhodium. There's some really good things you can use. We have several adrenal stress formulas. So your adrenal glands are those brain tissue in your body that's above your kidneys, these little eyebrows above your kidneys that control a lot of functions in your bodies. They control minerals in your body. They control your metabolism. They control some of your sex hormone functions. They control adrenaline, hence the name adrenal glands, and your cortisol. So adrenaline, we all know what that is. That's your fight or flight hormone. Yep. When you get aggravated, when you get stressed, it's triggered unnecessarily because you're not going to fight somebody. You're not going to flee. There's no Godzilla or earthquake or tidal wave coming. So you're in traffic. You get upset. You trigger your adrenaline. That adrenaline has a lot of deleterious effects, like raising your blood sugar because it thinks you're going to fight, raising your blood pressure, increasing your brain activity in a negative way. Yeah. So if you have that going on, firing all day long, you're going to get some negative health consequences from it.
Burned out.
You're going to get burnt out, hence the term adrenal fatigue. So what we do is we use B complex, vitamin D, a lot of these herbs like ashwagandha and rhodium. We use a lot of these things to calm the adrenal glands down and reset the cortisol. So adrenaline makes your body crank up and cortisol makes it go back down. But of course, if your body's always hyper and your cortisol is always high, then you're going to be in a hypercortisol state. Cortisol is like cortisone, so it's going to cause your bones to become weak. It's going to cause sleep disturbances. It's going to cause that belly fat around the midsection.
Your stomach,
it's going to cause your testosterone not to work properly. It's going to cause fatigue. It's going to cause joint pains. It's going to cause brain fog, which a lot of people have when their hormones go down. It's going to cause a hump on your back of your neck. It's going to cause you to have dizziness, gait dysfunctions, all kinds of bad, even dental issues, sight issues, blurry vision, difficulty seeing. So not treating these things and waiting for it to become a real serious disease where your adrenal gland essentially burns out, which is either Cushing's or Addison's disease, then I think we missed the boat. So the whole point of prevention is getting the patient when they're stressed. Maybe they're a new parent, a new mother. They started a new job. They moved to a new part of the country and they're not sure how the traffic pattern works. So these are things we have to adapt. So stress is not necessarily what happens to you, it's how you react to what happens. So we can teach our patients to chill and not get so, condition them, but also fortify them with hormone optimization, diet, avoiding, sugary carbs, cleaning out the gut, and also all these herbs and vitamins like the B complex are really good for your brain, the vitamin D and things like that to kind of put a shield around you. So when that stress happens, you can control it.
Gotcha. So interesting. So I know we talked about a little bit about adrenal health. So I just want to get some final thoughts. What would you tell a person listening just to kind of circle back and just bring everything to one, I guess, final tip? What would you say are the top 5 things that somebody out there should do today or starting tomorrow morning to take control of their health? Like, what would you suggest? Now, obviously, this could be something like get a functional blood test or, obviously eliminate the processed foods like you were talking about. Like, what would you say are the key elements that we need to address right away?
In Florida, we're blessed. There's lots of functional medicine doctors in Florida, more than other states. So Florida is actually good for that. I'm not alone in the state. There's lots of us. So find a well-qualified doctor. And I always tell my patients, this is January. We're starting a brand new year. Let's get a brand new you. Let's write down things that you want to improve on yourself. Maybe your temper's not good. Maybe you're not sleeping good. Maybe this year we're going to get rid of that tire that you're carrying around your waist. Maybe you want to be more active in your life. You want to be more active in your kid's life. Maybe you want to get that promotion at your job. You want to go for it. Maybe you want to open up your own business. I recommend that. So to achieve these goals, remember, a goal is a dream with a plan. If you just have a dream and you don't do anything about it, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just spinning your tires like those guys doing burnouts in the parking lot. So you want to have a goal. It's good to have dreams, but you want to put that dream into a goal, which means get a plan. Go see your provider and bring a list of the things that you want to improve, things that you heard on this program today. Get some blood tests done. Find out what your gut health is like. Find out what kind of bacteria is in your stool. Find out how your micronutrients are, your cardiac health, your amino acids, your carbohydrate health, which we do in one simple test called a spectrozyme test. And we can give you a score on all that stuff. And then you know where you stand. From there, we're going to recommend a few supplements to get started. We don't hit you with 20 or 30 supplements at once. We're going to target the main areas. We're going to pick
Baby steps.
3 areas that are the most severe. Usually it's, magnesium, vitamin D, maybe a hormone or so. We'll start with those, start supplementation, put you on a Mediterranean type diet, which means good fats and low carbs, not zero carbs, and start you on some kind of activity level if you're not doing that right away, and some kind of stress management.
Absolutely.
And then when we achieve those 3 goals, we go to the next 3. So every few months when you go in, we're going to be crossing things off the list and adding new things. And as you get stronger, as you get more intelligent, more energy, better sleep, you're going to see a tremendous improvement. And you know what's weird about all this that I've been seeing in the last 7 years? It's addictive.
Absolutely.
So before I know it, I have my
Feeling
patient's
good is
neighbors
addictive.
coming in. I have my patient's barber coming in, We have an ex-football player for the Dolphins that got all these kids to come in because I treated him. And then he said all the kids at his camp are going to go through and get tested. And he paid for all of it, He said they're in their 20s and I want them all tested and see where they're at. Then
there's really no age,
No.
that I'm 30, I'm 40, now I got to go in. No, you could do this in your 20s. That's great.
My oldest functional health patient that I saw yesterday, she's 94 years old.
Wow.
She takes one medicine for her heart. That's it. Blood pressure to control her heart rate. That's it. And she's 94 years old. And she's in perfect health.
Doing great.
She walks, she talks, she answers the phone. She has an iPhone, believe it or not, which I thought was amazing. Wow. I don't even know how to use my iPhone correctly. And, it just shows you. Then we have patients really young, like, 10, 8, 9, 10 years old, where we're doing tests, checking their gut health, especially when they're having behavioral problems in school. So, that's a good thing about functional medicine. There's really no negative side effects. If I had to invent a negative side effect, maybe cost might be a side effect, But what I say is we spend so much money on rent, on iPhones, on our meals, on entertainment, going to Disney. You can budget some money and, like in our office, we have payment plans that you can do, but you can budget even on your own some money and put that towards your health. That's a really good investment.
It's an investment, absolutely. And like you said, there's really no age. I mean, the truth and the facts are in your blood. So definitely, guys out there, get your blood work done. Get a functional medicine blood test. Thank you so much, Dr. Silva. You've been
my pleasure.
Wealth of information.
No
so
problem.
just before we go, why don't you let the audience know where they could find you, where your office is located, your handles.
We have an office. It's in Deerfield Beach. It's 1100 South Federal Highway, and it's located on a main, US 1. We're right between Target and Bank of America. We're Suite 100 on the first floor. You can call us at 954-943-9670. We also have another office, which is in Wynwood in Miami, which is run by a colleague of mine, satellite office of ours, and it's called Biohacks, which you can find online. And Dr. De Andrade is the main person there. I'm the medical director. So we can do the blood test. If you live in Miami, we can go over there. We're also working on opening up something in Orlando down the line. But if you look up functional medicine, and you'll find a list of really good physicians, And if you need a recommendation of a physician close to where you live, you can also contact us. I'll be happy to provide. Like I said, Dr. Mark Hyman is working with the Cleveland Clinic. There's lots of good functional medicine physicians. And remember, when you have a problem, you want to get to the root cause of the problem. You don't want to just mask it with Band-Aids on top of symptoms, treating symptoms. Symptoms are okay, but at the end of the day, they don't make you healthy. It's a false sense of security, and you can still die.
Absolutely.
So go to the root of the problem. We have excellent chiropractors that are in our network that you can see that can help you with all kinds of musculoskeletals and general health issues as well. So we're not just one kind of physician. That's the thing. A functional medicine doctor can be a chiropractor, can be a DO, can be a nurse practitioner, can be an MD. There's no real type of doctor that they have to be. It's more a set of beliefs that we have on the patient going to the core, to the root of the problem, and using, gut health, nutritional health, hormonal health, exercise, move to improve, and you will not regret it. You're going to feel the best you've ever felt, and you're going to throw a lot of those pills that you have in the garbage and save a lot of money with medications.
Dr. Silva spitting facts. So that's going to end our show for today. Thank you again, Dr. Silva.
My pleasure.
Again, you've been a wealth of information. And until next time, guys, take care.
Bye-bye.